Pinch yourself. This is not a dream. It's the first proper week of spring. And after the long Nordic winter, people are out in the parks, mixing, mingling.
I work as a midwife at the hospital here in Stockholm. I just came from my night shift, so I woke up quite recently, and it's such a freedom to just be able to be here at the open field and with the sun, the blue sky, and the wind, just to clean your mind a little bit.
Stockholm feels like a parallel universe, where life, as we all once knew it, continues as if unchanged.
I think there have been a huge overreaction in most countries around the globe. They're doing the wrong thing. That's what I think. They should be doing more like Sweden does.
Government advice is this: keep your distance, and if you feel sick, stay at home. The priority to protect the elderly and the vulnerable. But otherwise, Swedes are free to do almost all the normal things that, to an outsider, now feel dangerous. Subversive, even. There is a bit more nuance to this than meets the eye at first. Yes, a lot of the cafes and restaurants are open, but they have taken measures. It's table service only. They're leaving big gaps between the tables. One guy I just spoke to said, yeah, I'll come out for a drink. Yes, I'm going to work during the day, but I wouldn't go and see my grandmother. Swedes have been told to be careful about their social interactions, and it looks like lots of them have been taking that very, very seriously. This city is much quieter than it would usually be. Here's how social distancing works in the lunch queue at primary school. It's more an aspiration than a rule. They've taken other measures too, spacing out the desks, avoiding activities with too many kids together. Schools in Sweden are not just open, attendance is compulsory for children up to the age of 16. For the head teacher at this school, an immigrant from the Philippines, it's been a challenge.
I think it's the worries actually from the parents, I would say. But then when they have seen that I actually make sure that I follow recommendations from the health authorities, I mean, they accepted that. And I think it's actually rooted in the culture, you know, that's something that I've actually noticed, that when it comes to trust and respect, it's quite as solid in Sweden.
Trust is at the heart of the Swedish strategy. Social distancing measures are requested, not dictated. And in return, most citizens, more than 75%, according to a recent poll, have faith in the authorities' approach. So this is the Public Health Agency of Sweden. This is where Sweden's coronavirus policy is made. Anders, I'm Gabriel. The man leading that strategy doesn't talk explicitly in terms of herd immunity, but that is effectively the plan. Anders, I spoke to you, I think, about 3 weeks ago, and I said, are you sure you're taking the right approach? And you said, come back to me in a few weeks' time. So how are you feeling now?
I think to great parts we have been able to achieve what we set out to achieve. I mean, Swedish healthcare keeps on working, basically with a lot of stress, but not in a way that they turn patients away. What has not worked out very well is our death toll. And that's very much, I mean, it's partly due to the strategy, but not really very much. It's mainly due to that our elderly, or homes for elderly, have not been able to keep the disease out.
So the deaths is obviously one of the key things where you want to get a good outcome. Is there a part of you that is thinking, have we got the right strategy here?
Yes, of course, always there is, but still, almost 50% of the deaths takes place in elderly care. From our point of view, it does not disqualify our strategy as a whole.
If you are basing your decisions on different data from the rest of the world, What is the data that you are basing your decisions on?
But I think the question is, what data does the rest of the world base their decisions on? I think that's just as relevant. And we've been looking around, and there's very few things around that. There is the report from Imperial, a non-peer-reviewed report. That's one of the few things that you can find. And in most countries, you find nothing.
The outbreak in Sweden is concentrated in Stockholm, but there are big variations by district.
I think it's a little bit weird that we're moving around and not taking proper precautions.
Here in Rinkeby, where the overwhelming majority is from an immigrant background, the number of recorded cases is almost 3 times the capital's average.
Vi har bara info. Ja, vill du ha? Nej, okay. Everybody comes by and would like a test. And because it says in the newspaper that they want to increase their testing capacity to 10,000 a week, but we haven't seen a single test yet. But everybody has these symptoms that last for weeks and weeks, so we can just assume that it's COVID-19.
Today, the Public Health Agency estimated that by the end of the month, a quarter of the capital's residents may have been infected with COVID-19. Progress towards herd immunity? Perhaps. But the truth is, no one knows the real numbers. I've spoken to a doctor who works with COVID patients at a hospital here. He didn't want to appear on camera, but he told me, I'm afraid. He said, there are so many things that we don't know about this virus. Why are they taking this risk? They're gambling with people's lives, he said, and they're gambling with the lives of those who are trying to save lives. Now, others in the scientific community are coming forward to voice their concerns. One of those is Lena Einhorn, a virologist, one of 22 scientists who've signed a letter urging the government to change tack. She's self-isolating here in the countryside outside Stockholm. You comfortable there?
Yeah.
I'm going to be about here.
There are thousands of trials going on right now around the world for treatments. We're not talking vaccines. We're talking antiviral treatments. We're talking about the treatments of the devastating effects of the infection. Already, there are a couple of drugs that have showed very, very promising results in small trials. Within the next few weeks and months, most likely, we will be able to lower the mortality. That, to me, is the most important reason to push this epidemic in front of you as far as you can.
These people who are deciding this, they're not politicians, they're scientists, like you.
Yes, it's just the problem is that scientists are people. And, you know, scientists have ideas that they cling to. You would be surprised how much science is not only ruled by rationality, it's ruled by feelings to a very large extent.
Compared to Sweden's neighbours, the numbers don't look good. Deaths from COVID here are 3 times higher than in Denmark and 6 times those of Norway and Finland. Those countries have imposed strict lockdowns.
I think it's too early also to say is a lockdown good or bad, because many countries are now having a discussion within the political sector, but also in the whole society. Should we lift the restrictions? In what way? What will happen? That is not a debate in Sweden, and it's not something the government is preparing for. We are not lifting any restrictions for the moment.
But if you look at your numbers compared to your neighbours, Denmark, Norway, Finland, it looks bad. Per million of population, this is a direct comparison.
I don't fully agree with that, because how to have the statistics, but also where are we, in what kind of phase for the pandemic are we for the moment?
Do you think you're earlier? Do you think you're further along?
We're not sure about that, but that could be a fact, and I think it's too early to evaluate that now.
If lockdown is a treatment that's being trialled globally, then Sweden is the control group. This is not about going out and getting your hair done or meeting your mates down the pub. This is about whether the course the rest of the world is on is sustainable or even beneficial in the long term.
I don't think we'll have more deaths. Come back 1 year from now and I think we'll have the same proportion of deaths.
But this is a hunch?
It's likely. I mean, this is a virus.
It's a hell of a thing to base your hunch on.
Yes, maybe, but just wait a couple of months and the death toll in the UK will be going up compared to Sweden.
It will be some time before we know whether this hunch is proved right. For now, it does feel like a big gamble.